the mic check and repeated what the person's said for like a minute, and then moved into the OM, and then moved into the walking the person out.
Point of process, wise woman is on target but off subject. So is there anyone, can we move this to another discussion to accumulate that? Would you take the lead on that or someone?
I was going to suggest is that, are you suggesting that we make the time longer so that we can come up with something, or or do you want to
I
put
was
this?
thinking that we should have like maybe a emergency type proposal so that we come to a quick agreement on how we're going to react if we have a disruption the next time.
So should we take? Okay. Point of process.
I think that this is the job of the facilitation group. This was brought from the facilitation group from last week as something to discuss so that everybody would have it, and then the facilitation group will work out a proposal and then make it a proposal next month for us.
Okay. Okay, so we can make that a proposal for Saturday. Yeah,
Or an announcement.
yeah, you can make an announcement. Just the rules are for proposal. I'm sure you know. Just figure this hours ahead of time for consultation.
I think facilitation should do that and then not have it voted for approval in the GA, just so like you can have it as it doesn't need to be that serious. So like facilitation could come up with that.
Okay, so then, all right, we have a good point for facilitation, so we'll take care of that, and let's get back on the set so we can move on. And
Okay, final person, Maria.
Okay, I think that somebody mentioned the mission statement. I think it was inside. And if we have there are rules of conduct for ourselves, actually designer or not, and then print it and have some copies. And when every facilitation meeting, just choose somebody who will be in charge of, I don't know how to call it, security, or somebody that will be 3 or 4 people that will have the copy of the rules of conduct, and when somebody is disrupting, check the rules, and whatever applies, use it with 3 or 4 people. And then if that doesn't go, then use what your idea is just really good. I was here yesterday, so that's my suggestion. And I think today we should decide 2 or 3 people to work on that, not to make it too long. That's what I think.
so that's the end of staff. So before we move on, I just want to let you guys know that we did a really good job discussing and being respectful. I know sometimes we just need to hear that, so no, we're a family. Just remember that. Okay. Facilitation will try to take care of this at the next meeting. And now we should move on to the non-violent staff, which you said you will present.
Okay, my name's Ethan Davidson, and I've been selected to read the draft for the nonviolence statement. Okay, definition of violence. Oxford English Dictionary Online. 1. Behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. 2. Law. The unlawful exercise of physical force or intimidation by the exhibition of such force. World Health Organization, UN. Violence is the intentional use of physical force or power, threatened or actual, against another person or against a group or community, which either results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, death, psychological harm, maldevelopment, or deprivation. Context. State violence. In political science, the state is often defined as a monopoly on legitimate violence within a defined territory. We leave the issue of legitimacy to others. Modern states are intrinsically coercive. Although most citizens voluntarily comply, for those who do not, the legitimate use of force is the means by which the state exercises control. As Bay Area United, we reject state violence against the consciences of awakened human beings. Consciences of awakened human beings. We reject violence as a tactic in our movement. We reject property destruction that is autonomous and or anonymous. We reject property destruction that could cause collateral damage to human beings. We retain the right to confrontational, nonviolent direct action. We retain the right to self-defense as a community. End of draft.
Point of information. Okay.
Yeah.
So the point, in case you guys were confused about why this statement is being read, this is a statement that needs, it's by Carlos, who's not here today, but we need to, I'm paraphrasing him right now, sorry. We need to make a nonviolent statement as OBAU. And hence, this is the first draft. This is not yet a proposal. Remember, a proposal needs to be brought twice. This is just so that we can discuss, and then it can be made into a formal proposal by Saturday, and then hopefully we can have one passed in a week. Does that make sense? So that's why we're discussing this. That's the purpose, is to turn this into a proposal of a nonviolent statement by OBAU.
To clarify the question, who's going to be making the proposal? Us as a
Carlos.
group? Or, okay, Carlos.
So the thing is, all the things need to be like all the comments need to be thought about, and then Carlos will make a proposal inputting all these comments. Does that make sense? Does that still not make sense to someone what's happening?
Are we discussing it tonight?
Right. So today there is a discussion about this nonviolent statement, which will then be turned into a proposal.
So let me just clarify what Jane is saying. So pretty much Carlos, who is not here, has written this. So we cannot make a proposal right now because a proposal has to go to the PA twice. And pretty much what she's saying is that we should discuss this so then we can make a proposal that can be executed on Saturday. Okay?
Saturday would be the first day it will
Yeah,
be brought.
and then it would have to come back on either whenever after that. And regardless, it's not here though. Yeah, so this is just a discussion.
Yes,
Yes,
let's
there is
stay
that.
with, if you have a question, ask it on stack.
Yes, so,
Maria, you're on stack?
I already asked.
okay, so timekeeper, we're giving this 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Who's on staff?
So we have you.
Okay, Deanna?
Okay, so at first glance and feel, to me, this is a little bit on the negative side. And I just saw today at Occupy Chicago's occupychi.org, they have a declaration on nonviolence that I haven't had a chance to read, but I advise that we kind of look into that and maybe look at other occupies and other statements like that and incorporate it. And I'm wondering,
Would you like some help with that?
oh yeah.
Okay, so
And so maybe somebody said it, but how do we communicate with Carlos to form something that we can work on?
right.
He's on the OBAU
Right.
list, so that's how I'm just,
Yeah,
not
just
just
shout
for
out.
me, for,
So you'll be informed through the OBAU email address? Or?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's on the OBAU Google
If
group.
you would like to, if you're on staff or even if you're not on staff and you'd like to notify or you'd like to be put into contact with Carlos to help you make this nonviolent statement, just say so while you're on staff and I'll write your name down and make sure he gets the email.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel this is a good starting point, but I don't feel like it's even really in the form of a proposal. It's more like a bunch of definitions, which are really useful in formulating an actual proposal. We had a whole discussion online about the issue of rejecting property destruction that could cause collateral damage to the human beings. We had a long discussion online that it doesn't look like that's been worked into at all about changing the language to something that those of us who are vegan can accept and those of the people who feel that is their God-given right to eat animals can also accept. So I think there's a lot that we need to work on in this, and I mean, even we reject state violence against the consciences of awakened human beings. Does that mean we're okay with violence against unawakened human beings? And I think that Janet had forwarded a draft nonviolent statement that they had worked on at Occupy Oakland that was a little more detailed that we should also take a look at. So I don't know if we need to set up a working group to actually meet and parse through all the different nonviolent statements and come up with one, but I think we need to do a lot more work on that. I don't know.
Somebody's raising their hand. I don't know if you want to get on stack.
Sorry, behind you. So Bob?
Yeah, well, I'm going to ditto what Beth said about the way that she put together that a bunch of definitions. It's not. At the bottom, you get bullet points that say what we believe. And I think that that's where we should concentrate. The other stuff, you can keep it what I put in those dictionary says. We're talking about what we say. And I don't know what state violence, whether that belongs in what our purview is here. We're saying what we're going to do, what our policies are. Yes, we're against state violence, we're against lots of things in the state, and that doesn't really fit in our nonviolent statement.
No, I'm doing a finger with.
So next is Maria.
Yeah, actually, what Beth already said, more definitions than anything else. And I think if Carlos is not here, maybe we can just take it, think about it. What can we add or be more probably general? And as Occupy Bay Area United, I see some contradiction here that I think we need to work out. So my suggestion is to take it, think about it, and when Carlos is here, we have another discussion, because if we do it today and but he's the one that made the proposal, right? I mean, that's my suggestion, and just to add something like, don't forget that the system is also violent, but we are not with them, so.
So my question to the group, do you know if Carlos is going to be here on Saturday?
Yeah. So this isn't about conduct.
Yeah, this is not.
Exactly.
This is just something Carlos put out there.
Yeah,
And this is up
I
to
mean,
us.
this is about just a non-violence. It just was jumping off point to start thinking. If Carlos, that's why he didn't care if it was brought today, whenever. It's about the group.
It's about the group, so we're just discussing it right now. You can just think about it until Saturday too. So
Can I finish my?
yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry for interrupting.
Okay. So I think that my suggestion again is if tonight we can create little groups for this, and also for the disruption, some rules that we can work out and discuss deeper on Saturday. So tonight we leave and we get some things to, not just to think, but to work on for Saturday. My suggestion.
No, later. So is that something we have to check or no? Okay, so
I don't know.
Wait, I'm lost where we discussed.
so pretty much you suggested that
After group.
that
Let's listen up to our facilitator.
So pretty much she suggested that after GA you kind of umbrellas, I don't know, small groups that just discuss this. I don't know how you want to organize the small different groups, but okay.
Well, I'm on staff.
Okay, so let's get back to staff and
Peter?
Okay, right after I read this statement, I could see why something as short as this is needed. That unfortunately, in the public mind, Occupy equals anarchy equals violence equals constant destruction equals what happened with the May Day demonstration, with the May Day incident. And something like this is very short and to the point, and does explain to the people who might not know the nuances of Occupy what we're about. And I think we need both a simple, clear statement, but also that it's brought up a lot of questions in my mind. What do we think of psychological violence or violence by other violence by other means that doesn't involve physical action? Do we object to that? So, for example, if we have a visual in front of, say, Jamie Dimon's house, would that be considered violence or not?
Okay, Mike?
Okay, Peter kind of beat me to the punch, but what I was going to say is I think it's important to remember, like, even though I may personally agree with most of this and operate under these terms, this is way too radical for me to get behind as as a mission statement. To give you an example of what I think is a good mission statement along these lines, if it was just, we reject violence as a tactic of our movement, we retain the right to confrontational, nonviolent direct action, we retain the right to self-defense as a community, that to me is a mission statement. In fact, that's a little too long to be a mission statement, but I can get behind that. And the reason for it is this. We got to remember that it's got to be something that's going to be appealing to anyone we might want as an ally further down the line. If we go saying right now, well, we reject state violence, 3/4 of people are going to say they're a bunch of communists and they're going to stop listening right there. So I think we should keep it short, broad, sweet, and easily agreeable. Nobody is going to disagree. Well, most people are not going to disagree with. We reject violence as a tactic of our movements. Not, but when you start talking about state violence and all that, they're going to shut their ears when they hear that kind of stuff. So we got to just keep it as broadly, as appealing as possible, without, true to ourselves, but paying special effort because it is our mission statement, because it is a central thing that is very important, making sure not to make it divisive. That's all. Al?
Okay, first I apologize for being late. Secondly, I respectfully disagree with you, two tips, and I agree with the first part that people are saying, several people, that the top part is unnecessary for our statement. However, the bottom, I think, is a very well thought out progression. The changes I would make: we reject state violence against human beings. We reject violence as a tactic of our movement. Now, that's human beings and our movement. Next, we go into property damage. Well, this is very important because this is going to get to something we've been talking to online. We reject property destruction that is autonomous and or anonymous. We reject property destruction that could cause collateral damage to living beings. Because in our society, everything other than human beings is considered property. We retain the right to confrontational nonviolent direct action and retain the right to self-defense as a community.
Richard?
Being a part of people putting statements together on my behalf. I don't understand the state violence thing, so I guess I agree with what Michael's saying there. But I think it's important that you establish exactly what you're talking about. So I don't think you want to cut out the definition. Maybe pick one of them or two of them, and maybe drop out the state violence ones. I think that doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. And like I said, that people when they read that are not going to be on board with that. Maybe change that a little bit. And I agree with what Bill said, and some of the things in there about living beings and stuff like that. I think that some of the less concerns, because then we have to directly talk about animals, but living beings, animals are living beings, done. And just try to keep it, maybe cut one of the definition out, cut the state violence thing out. We have the stuff that Bill has. I think the percentages are way there, and that's something good. But also, Michael's talking about a mission statement. This is not a mission statement. This is a statement about nonviolence.
Yeah.
The mission statement is entirely different. That talks about why you exist. So, but I don't think this is bad. I think it's a good first swipe, and I think you could fine tune easily without a huge bunch of long processes to get a conclusion on it. Because it pretty much says it, especially the last part at the bottom. But I think establishing that at the beginning what the violence is a really good idea. Because people might say, well, my definition of violence is this and that. Well, you're saying the document. So that's what the definition is, as denoted by the people. Yes.
I might have misunderstood a little bit.
Well, I don't understand state violence. I don't. Look at the state being violent. I don't get that.
Getting back on the track, you guys.
It's slide 6 to 12 minutes.
6 to 12 minutes? Okay, so we can keep staff busy for a little bit.
Yeah.
Davis?
Say 6. Go 6.
I sometimes think that the Pentagon has some retired English professors whose job it is to come up with morally neutral language for the most reprehensible things that they do, such as bombing a village by an F-106 and blowing apart the bodies of teenagers and women. Collateral damage was invented by the Pentagon to explain away the morally repugnant things that it does. And I find it very objectionable when we in the movement who's in opposition starts adopting language from the Pentagon. So I do not like the collateral damage.
Where is that?
Alcides?
I was just going to also agree with Richard about the definition, probably cutting down one of the definitions out, just so that people are on the same level of what violence is. And also like after Q-tips brought it up, made me think more about the state violence thing and how it might throw off some people. But I think the right to, like, we retain the right to self-defense of the community. I think that's a great thing to have there and kind of addresses the state violence thing if that ever does come up into discussion. And just, if the state does commit violence, it's in the definition, so you have something to refer to when you talk about state violence. It doesn't have to be part of the nonviolent statement that we want to make.
Jane?
I'm going to be a little bit more practical right now, so I was thinking I will put this into a Google Doc because it sounds like people want to have a swing at it. And I'll put this into the Google Doc, and then maybe people can do it online and comment and stuff in it. So right now I know that Janet, Beth, and Carlos want to be in on this Google Doc. Is there anyone else?
I would, except I don't know how to send it.
Bob, Mike.
Well, anybody in the mailing list, there are documents attached to the mailing list, right?
Okay, so these are the people I will put in right away, and then I'll send out to the mailing list to request if you want that. I don't want to make it available to everybody on the mailing list because, unless they request it, because it's...
They might not be interested.
Yeah. Also easily sabotaged.
Yeah.
I want to kind of know.
Yeah. Well, no, but it retains history of who did what to it.
Sometimes, I don't know. I don't know how to do that, the words in the print. Okay, so that's first, and then I'll definitely throw out an email, and then, yeah, I think that these statements are awesome, and I think that collectively working on stuff like this will, in the end, make it perfect. And if everybody could agree on something, it would be just amazing. So this is really fun for me, guys.
Okay, so at this time, yeah, no, what I'm saying is that we're going to just see, does anyone else want to get on to staff before we close it? Any last minute thoughts? Mike? Anyone else? Okay, so you're now closing staff.
Okay, Beth?
Just a couple things. I like the living beings. I think that's a good compromise. I agree with not using the Pentagon language. And what I wanted to suggest is that since we're meeting Friday at 6 p.m. to work on the mission statement, that we also work on this nonviolence statement Friday at 6 p.m. if people are good with that. So, yeah, so Friday, 6 p.m., we'll work on the draft mission statement and a draft nonviolence statement. And I also wanted to say, I think we do need some level of definitions, but I think they should be in footnotes.
Will you repeat for everyone where and when that meeting is?
So Friday, 6 p.m. at the Starbucks. No longer the Starbucks since they've kicked some occupiers out. but on Drum Street, across from 101.
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Across from the Hyatt too.
Across from the Hyatt, 6 p.m.
Point of information?
So if she wants to say that about having a thing on Friday, perhaps it's a good idea to have your groups that are going to work on it agree to come up with something by Friday so they got something to talk about.
Google Docs. It's going up on Google Docs. So everybody can look in there.
We don't have internet access.
Yeah, but I mean, mentally, you just agree that you have somewhat of a deadline. Sounds like she's suggesting some kind of a little bit of deadline might help that.
Well, yeah, but don't forget also on Saturday, this is going to be brought up in the GA event. So there is kind of a deadline in that sense. We said it earlier.
But point of information, maybe. Yeah, it would be a good idea then to get stuff into that Google Doc if you're interested. And also we can incorporate all the suggestions and comments that we've heard tonight, whoever wants to come.
Point of information.
It is. I'm taking notes on all of this. So by the way, if you said something tonight, it's definitely in the notes. I'll type them up and I'll send them out to OBAU. If there's something additional, please put it into the Google Doc. We will consider it.
Okay, Janet.
Okay, so I don't know how this will work with Google Docs, but Beth mentioned a proposal that I and a number of people worked on back in November for Occupy Oakland. And it was the sixth nonviolent proposal, all of which failed. And ours failed where only 33% voted for it. But one of the things, sadly, in any case, one of the things about it is it did not use the word violence in it. And it was called action agreements. So, because there are people who think smashing windows is non-violence. I mean, so it's tricky with the language. So anyway, I don't know how it would work to have this, Carlos's and mine kind of very separate kinds of things. All right. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I don't know, I just was thinking, is disruption a form of violence? I don't know. Anyway, I just figured I'd throw that out. Think about it.
Ethan?
All right, so as a couple of people have mentioned, this section, context, state, violence, it's basically a manifesto, and it's an anarchist manifesto, and that may be fine with the majority of the people in this room, but I don't necessarily think we want to put it out there to the general planet. The meat of it is the bottom, and Occupy Bay Area United as whatever, you know what it's called, the last section. And most of that looks fine and dandy to me, except we retain the right to self-defense as a community is a little ambiguous. Some people might think all of us carrying guns is self-defense, right? That argument has been made in the past. So it's kind of ambiguous. And lastly, personally, I don't want to talk about veganism or vegetarianism anymore, personally. Because that's just me.
in there.
Okay, last is Michael.
Well, not much to add. Everybody pretty much covered it. Like Ethan, I was concerned about the the last statement of self-defense. Excuse me. I think that could tie up. I mean, we could tie that into another issue, I guess. When we talk about the name and the DA group, I'm not really going to involve myself very deeply in your guys' matters, but I can just try to provide maybe an outside perspective on things. And one of the things that's interesting to me is the question as to whether or not self-defense can be considered violence in itself. So, violent action, violent reaction. I agree with Ethan, it's a little ambiguous. And rejecting violence as a tactic of our movement seems to me, for some reason, to me, it just seems like we reject violence as a tactic of our group because some people might not want you claiming nonviolence as a tactic of the movement. I mean, is this a little movement right here? No, this is a group, this is a part of a movement that rejects violence as a solution to any type of conflict resolution. You know, so the language is the main thing, and I think this worked perfect as a prompt document because I think that's kind of what Carlos was trying to go with anyways, was just something to get people thinking. But the language is cool. I'd leave the state violence in there. I don't think that you should hide behind any type of politically correct terminology or invent or figure out words that are alternatives to the actual word that is more direct. But that's just my input as someone who does not condone certain matters.
I just have one real quick.
So let's take a temperature check on that. No, I mean,
Just one.
Okay, fine. Do you guys agree to it?
I just wanted to say that when Dan was talking about disruption, whether they're violent, I want to point out that if you do not disrupt an immoral activity, that can be violent.
That's actually a good point. So that is the end of that discussion. Just would like to re-say that this will be brought up on Saturday's GA as a proposal by Carlos, and that there's going to by the group, and that there's going to be a meeting at on Friday at OccupySFTV, and that there's going to be a Google Docs for this. So let you guys know, and maybe take that time to research your philosophy and understand that and understand that these definitions can definitely be twisted and to other people's point of view. So moving on, we are going to have 15-minute time keeper for preliminary mission statement.
Okay.
So let's start up. Oh wait, who's introducing that? Yeah, who's introducing that?
We don't have to.
There's miscommunication.
So wait. So
I thought that we were just going to have people put their input in through the Google Doc and then discuss it further at the meeting on Friday.
Is that okay? Unless people want to discuss.
We had two very small changes I want to suggest.
People want to discuss ahead of time, or
The mission statement. What are we talking about?
The mission statement.
Yeah. People want to do a preliminary mission statement discussion?
I mean, we could have a temperature check.
So yes, we're going to do a temperature check on if people want to do a preliminary mission statement right now, if they want to do it
Discuss forward. That's good.
Okay, so can I get a temperature check on who wants to discuss it right now? No one.
People have been saying we can't do anything till we have a mission statement. I don't know if that's true.
Okay. You two?
Two. Not many.
Okay. So.
That should go on.
Okay. We're gonna skip that and we can.
Oh, we're going to skip it? Okay, fine.
Well,
Because you're going to hammer the language together online and next Saturday.
it might be just better to start it online so then we have a bigger foundation for Saturday to have a discussion.
Point of information, can I,
Yeah.
the reason it was brought forward was so that it wouldn't just, we don't want everything to just stay online at times, so it's been wide ranging online, but to make sure not everyone has access all the time.
Not everyone knows which buttons are supposed
Right,
to press.
not everyone understands exactly, so all things we feel facilitators should duck into here and have an option be discussed. So we thought people wanted to, they don't, so great, we move on, right?
Moving on. So, can I get the time?
It is now 8:23.
Okay, we actually have time to discuss me, you guys. Yay. Okay. So, I guess, you want me to do the introduction of that? We're currently OBAU, which is Outside Bay Area United, and we kind of agreed that this would be a temporary name. So we're just going to discuss possible new names for it, or if you want to keep the name or whatever it is you want. Okay, so let's start with getting people on staff. Appointed process.
I have a suggestion for process for this. Can we just go around and ask everyone, just have everyone say what they think? Because I feel like this could be kind of short.
Okay, can we take a temperature check on that? Who wants to? So let's start with people. Alright, so okay, let's split, yeah.
So another, I don't know whether this would be an addition, but it would be good if there could be another Google Doc with a whole list of possible names. Somebody who has thought that article, I know it's too early to start it, but I'll start it.
Okay, so, well, this is just a discussion, so I guess if anyone wants to start the Google Docs, they can do that, and if you want to say it. So you can do
I'll
it?
send it to OBAU.
Okay,
That one's
perfect.
the one.
Alright, perfect. So let's start with James. Well, no, did you want? Okay, fine.
Oh, do you want?
Each one is suggesting
Yeah,
a
each one of us is
name.
suggesting a name.
Or saying an opinion. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna start with you.
Okay, I'm gonna go very simple. My choice number 1 is Occupy Wall Street West. My choice number 2 is Occupy Bay Area United. I have not yet heard of any other option that I would be okay with.
Ditto.
Occupy creating a mass movement. No, actually I ditto what Ben said.
I am strongly against Occupy Wall Street West because I think it brings up old tensions and old flames within Occupy SF regarding, the issue in the past of co-option. So I am for keeping Occupy Bay Area united.
Okay, yeah, I thought that we were going around and saying names rather than having a discussion on
Well, no.
topic. I don't know.
Names are opinions.
Or
You
discussion.
can
Yeah,
say
we
why.
kind of smushed the two together, so
Why
take
she
your
feels
time, or
chooses the
take the
name.
opportunity to put in your opinion too.
How about we make rounds and rounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, how about, alright, let me just suggest something, and if you guys want to read it, you can. Let's go, because we have a lot of time, surprisingly, so let's just go around the circle real quick, it's a small circle, and then afterwards, let's just put in all of our opinions, okay?
So staff.
Yeah, so let's go around the circle first, and then take in staff. Are
So
you guys
like
okay with that?
30 seconds a person?
Yeah, you just say a name, and then after we get through everyone, we can start with staff and put in our names.
In the process,
Yeah.
are you saying that people shouldn't do like what I just said, say why? How about they could say the name and why?
Yeah, okay,
Why not?
that's a good point. Okay, the name and why, and then afterwards we can put in staff for whether we like each other's ideas or not. Is that clear to everyone, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think that Occupy Wall Street denotes a certain mentality, and there's a lot of things that I think that the East Coast is about that since I'm from the East Coast and having lived down the West Coast for 33 years, I think the West Coast is its own mentality, and I think that we should establish something that represents the West Coast mentality. If you're already calling it Occupy, if they occupy something, most likely, so you're covering the mentality that was started by Occupy Wall Street West, but you establish your own identity. I think that's really important. But I don't have any suggestions because I don't know what that would be. That's it.
I don't have an attachment to the word occupy. Matter of fact, I prefer dropping the word occupy and keeping Wall Street. It's because I got involved in this because of the Occupy Wall Street and not because of anything else behind it. So.
I really like the Occupy Wall Street West that you said. I think the West is very important, maybe more than Wall Street. That's my first choice. My second is Occupy Bay Area, but I don't know about United because United here is Labor, United we stand is Obama, United we fight is the righteous people, United militia, whatever. I think I would like Occupy Bay Area movement. or Occupy Wall Street West.
Well, wait, no motion.
Try to.
Sorry. Let's
Go
not
one
forget
by
the
one,
back
so-
row too.
Michael?
Once again, I think the issue is the name issue, and it's very important that you guys come up with a name, and you're going to decide this name, if it's not intimately attached to Occupy SF, could create problems for you. I'm just saying that. Me personally, if I were committed to this group, I would throw in the name Occupy West Coast Front.
West Coast what?
Front.
Front?
Like a united front. More state language.
Can you repeat the name, Mike? Occupy what?
Occupy West Coast Front or Occupy West Coast United. But once again, the united thing has certain connotations too. Just because you're nonviolent doesn't mean you can't be militant. People are ill-defining and misrepresenting certain words, and that's important. But once again, whatever you guys call yourself is important because it's going to determine whether you work with or if you're a part of Occupy San Francisco.
Oh, that's bullshit.
No, well, I'm just saying that's a pretty big feeling.
I'm straight up, that's bullshit.
No, I know it is, Gus. Or Bill.
Respectful. Let's try to I super love how you do that because
And just to kind of stitch it up real quick, the OSF Direct Action Group, it could only, if you guys do the work with thing, would be like a defense capacity. So I don't know how it's going to work with the complete nonviolent thing. No, I think
Bill should go next.
Okay, I'm the one who said it was bullshit because I think that this division is being brought on by people who don't know how to work together. How about this? I don't like Occupy Wall Street West because we're not Wall Street. We don't have a Wall Street here. It makes us totally ineffectual. How about, we've already done the job, it's occupied. Occupied Bay Area. Or Bay Area occupied for the people that think it's OBAU, bowing to us. How about bow, namaste?
Yeah. Bay Area occupied.
Okay, actually, of the suggestions I've heard, I'd go with Occupy Bay Area, OBAU, or Bay Area Occupied. Both of those lines.
you guys, can we please keep outside conversation? And if you want to, you guys?
Occupied.
Yeah, you guys, can we please try to keep outside conversations? And no, I'm just saying this respectfully. And if you want to talk, just continue.
Okay, of the suggestions I've heard, I like Occupy Bay Area United since it's a nod to the movement that spawned this in the first place. Or Bay Area Occupied will also work for me.
I'm not going to get in the middle of this one. It's
Okay, we respect that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm here because I think we're all part of the Occupy movement. I'm not invested enough in this group to have an attitude about what you call yourself, but I support. I really think we should not drift too far apart. And my concern here is that this group may be circling their wagons to keep out what they're seeing as disruption, which is really a part of the movement. So I don't know if I've expressed that well, but anyway, that's my answer.
I have no position. Ane, who had to leave, wrote that he would prefer San Francisco occupation or something with SF in the name, since people all over the world look to San Francisco for leadership in progressive social change movement.
Okay, I got a lot to say about this.
because I really didn't like Occupy Bay Area United at the beginning, but I viewed it as a compromise. I think that nobody at all has said, Occupy Bay Area United. That's a great name. Everybody has a name they like better. I think that's the best name that everybody can kind of agree on, though. I think that all of the better names are going to be subject to contention. Also, we originally agreed on it. We were going to say, okay, but we're going to discuss this in 2 days and change it. Well, it's been a lot longer than 2 days. We've gotten ahead of steam under that name. It's gotten out there. People know it. We've gotten domain names. We've gotten really lucky and got OBAU.org. Okay? That's like a miracle. We got ahead of steam. Let's see. Also, somebody already told me at one of the other GAs that they came because they heard Bay Area United. It wasn't San Francisco, it was someone from Oakland. People like that. I also want to point out something else that nobody else pointed out, because we have gotten trolled with people saying, wait, you guys split off and called yourselves United? That doesn't make sense. Right. That's like 13 colonies splitting off and calling themselves the United States. Also, Peter Mancini felt quite strongly that he wanted something with Occupy in the name. He mentioned that to me last week. So I think that OBAU has a lot going for it, even though none of us are really crazy about it. I really think it's far and away the best choice at this point.
So you're kind of saying to agree, to disagree almost?
I say we should, I think it's got, disagree with what?
We just all hate it, but we accept it.
It's nobody's favorites. What did I write here? Yeah, everybody has a name they like better, but there's no better name that everybody is going to like.
Yeah. Okay.
Good point.
Yeah.
I think that I agree with people. I think the Wall Street West idea is great in only one way, which is it targets something specifically. And that'll be a question of our mission statement. Are we here because we're principally targeting the banks? That's an argument I think that we need to have. If it is, that's a great name, but it carries a lot of baggage, and so it's probably not the right name for us, but something similar. I'm still not really sure, again, that we would want, for me, the word Occupy in it. It's a brand. It's true that we've all participated in heavily, but unless we're going to heavily use that specific tactic, we've been getting a lot of online response saying, don't call yourself Occupy then if you don't plan on occupying a lot. So that's a question. Well, that's the question. We haven't debated that yet. And you better make sure it's in the mission statement. Otherwise, we're not. Right? That's my last one. It should be a reflection of the mission statement in 4 words. If it's not, it's a failure. That's what it should be.
Okay, do another go around?
Do I get to go first then?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to get ready for everyone to take this idea, but I like the idea of occupy everything, because you know what? Let's just spread our mission. Let's not limit it to it. I mean, there's people probably in Chicago, Miami, Switzerland, Russia, wherever, that might agree with us. Just occupy everything. Why do we have to limit it to the Bay Area? I mean, it has the Occupy name in it. Everything includes San Francisco and Oakland and whatever. And yeah, I mean, yeah.
Definitely not Wall Street West. It's not only the baggage, it is also made by a group outside of either Occupy San Francisco. I think it was either done by a labor council or an outside group. First, and definitely the archives. The Bay Area Occupy, Bay Area United, and I don't mind about too much.
Can we go around again? Anybody want?
Do you guys want to go around again? Because I know I want to say something.
I'm up for it. I'm down with it.
Okay,
shorter this time.
I'm gonna try to make my case for Occupy Wall Street West. Just because it has a bad connotation doesn't mean that it's not what we're trying to do and the reason I like it is because Wall Street West is in San Francisco. Wall Street West is that thing, so it can be San Francisco. However, so if you want to say, oh, is this a San Francisco movement? Yeah, it is. It's Occupy Wall Street West. But then, if you say Occupy Wall Street West, then we're like the West version of Occupy Wall Street. So then basically it's like we can take all their hype and just say, oh hey, we're on the West Coast, and then we can take anybody we want. So depending on how you parse the words, it turns out awesome. And I don't think it was the Labor Council that named it. It was Wall Street West is something that it has been named for a really long time. It was just they just put Occupy in front. But yeah, I also agree with Mike in the fact that OBAU sounds to be the common denominator. And you know, I'm all about intersections. And this is that intersection. And I think OBAU might be it. And it sounds really non-threatening and like really friendly. I feel like it's the name of a panda. Of a panda.
That's for or against?
Yeah, so probably OBAU would be okay. I mean, yeah, it's not exciting. But I just wanted to remind us that this whole group that OccupySF and et cetera came out of Occupy Wall Street. That was the first. And initially, all of them were in solidarity with Occupy Wall Street and what Occupy Wall Street stood for. And my involvement in the Occupy movement is still that. And I see what OBAU is about, and probably OccupySF is very similar to what Occupy Wall Street is. Another thing about Occupy Wall Street is that it's not a geographical location. And so by saying SF or, well, yeah, it's a street, that's true in this case. But SF or Bay Area even, it's kind of limits to a location. That's another thing. But Bay Area, I would want to be East Bay Area beyond SF. And then finally, I have, even though I think we should keep occupied somewhere in the name, I have been active with the Palestine Solidarity movement, and there's a different kind of occupation in the West Bank and Gaza, et cetera. And so there's issues with that word, using that word, and that's not the only controversy, but I will say occupy as occupation, even though.
Okay, let me just interrupt just to say that people like to keep things quicker, so this little side note, or this little entry that you forgot to say, so just on your reminder.
Okay, well, I'm gonna flip a coin here. I think you made a really good case for OBAU. You made a strong case for Wall Street West also. But so I guess number one choice will be OBAU out of inertia and momentum, and Wall Street West would be my second choice or my vice president, whatever.
Someone did also point out that BAU, what was it, Greek or some language, means goddess, which I thought was nice.
Oh, I didn't.
But based on what my friend Michael said, I'd almost like to have San Francisco in there so that people know that we don't consider ourselves just like an arm or a focus group, as you put it the other day, of Occupy San Francisco, that it's a mitosis, separate but equal, if you will.
I only said that 200 times in the email.
Smart brain.
Yeah, I want to say that I like what you brought up with the Occupy Everything, and not like limited to, this area. Because like I'm sure that other cities, like probably all the occupations have gone through some kind of internal squabbles, and I think I've heard stuff like that floating around anyway. Also, as far as Occupy being in the name, I don't have an attachment to that, I said already, but like Peter said, if it's not going to be like a main practice, like the main theater of war, so to speak, then, does that really represent, what's going on? With the Wall Street West, I like it, but like because of the Occupy Wall Street West, when I found